Hello everyone, in this tutorial I will talk about RGKCar. As now RGKCar is out-of-box physics package of racing game kit. RGKCar contains several components like engine, setup, audio and sway bar, and these components works on mobile and desktop games. To start with RGKCar we need a 3D model to work with, so I'm going to use a 3D model from Assistor. 3D Autosports have free stock car model, name it stock car race car, so you can start with this 3D model. Okay, we imported this model to our project, so we need to start dragging this stock car model into hierarchy panel. Before start, please be sure your coordinate system is selected as local and your 3D model is positioned to 0 on all axes. Okay, as you can see, our model is very small related to our scene. This is very normal because it varies to all 3D modelers. As you can see, our 3D model is very small related to scene. This is very normal. You have to change that before working any physics components. In our scenario, I'm going to create a cube to check our vehicle scale. So in our world it's required to race car that fits the actual scaling system. Like in Unity, 1 unit is equals to 1 meter, so in real world race cars like 2 meters wide and 5 meters long, so I'm going to scale this model match this size. Please don't forget this, you don't use this dynamic scaling stuff here. This is very wrong because physics doesn't work well with the dynamic scaled objects, so you need to change scaling on the scale factor on import. I'm going to change this like 0.025, so probably it will work well. Yes. Our vehicle model now more realistic size. I'm going to remove that cube now. Okay, just be sure your 3D model in 0 position again. After that you need to change your scene view to better view of your vehicle size. You can use left or right, that's fine. Actually, when you check the object rotation, you will see very wrong thing, like our forward is z-axis and vehicle z-axis actually rotate to back of the vehicle. Model rotation is wrong. You can change that into this to a max like modeler program, so it's very easy to do. I only use 3D Studio Max, so sorry for other model programs, so I'm going to explain how to change this modeling rotation stuff in 3D Studio Max. And when you import the model to 3D Studio Max, you need to select which object to change rotation, and in hierarchy panel you have to choose pivot and affect pivot only option. And finally, be sure you are going to work with local coordinate system. After you select the rotate, you will see actually this axis equals to Unity axis and wrong one. In Unity, this should be rotate to vehicle front, and actually chassis rotation wrong too. So we are going to change this rotation, and Y rotation is should be rotated to up, Z rotation should be rotated to forward. So going to change niner. Okay. Now in the settings, or Z axis rotated to forward and Y axis rotated to upwards of vehicle. I'm going to do same settings to other models too, but I'm not going to export this 3D model to Unity, because I want to show how to use wrong rotated objects with the RGKCar, because it's very easy to use right rotated objects with RGKCar, but wrong rotated objects maybe misbehave. So I'm going to explain how to use wrong rotated objects in RGKCar. Okay, we have scaled 3D object, then we can continue the rigging up with the required setup. First of all, I have to create new empty object and name it to my car, and move that to 0 position. As now our 3D object has wrong rotation, so I have to change its rotation to right, and I have to move that the new created object, my car. Okay, now I'm going to create 3 additional objects. And name it the collider, chassis, and wheels. This wheels object is our wheel base. It will help us to set up suspension height. So I'm going to move that to the center of the car, and going to move body parts under chassis. In this scenario, it may cause losing or pref up. It's fine. I'm going to click continue, and now we have chassis, collider, and some wheels from the actual stock car model, and wheelbase. I have to create wheel points. This is something important for the RGKCar, because it requires separated model and wheel component game objects. So I will change these model objects names like model, I also use some standard naming or in models, like front left, rear left, front right, rear right. Okay, I'm going to create new empty object under hierarchy of my car, and name that wheel front right, wheel front left, wheel and wheel left. Okay, I have 4 wheel points and 4 model wheel models, so I have to move um, of wheel points to the same position of wheel models. You can use copy component and paste component values and set these rotations to 0 to make this option, but I have a better way to do this. I'm using transform utilities. Actually, this component provided with Raisin Game Kit package. It's very useful utility tool to make model same position. So I'm going to set pivot and pivot because I want to my models have same center positions. First I'm going to pick reference object, then going to pick target object, then pick align. So when I click the align, this object rotation and position will be same as the my reference object. Then I'm going to change its hierarchy. I will do same for other models too. Finally, going to remove object that left from original model. Right, we have 4 wheels set properly, and we have wheelbase object going to change their hierarchy under our wheels. Right, our wheels are ready. Okay, we have wheels and chassis configured. It's time to set up collider. I'm going to use box collider for this project. If you have mesh collider, you can use this too, but it's very easy to configure box collider for this type of projects, especially for mobiles. It have very few sites to calculate collisions, so it's very secure. So going to create new box collider object and make the hierarchy of the collider and add box collider component. Important thing is you need to set up this collider to cover your vehicle. If doesn't cover enough, especially if you forget the x-axis, your car will start shaking. So just don't forget to make x-axis cover your vehicle, because this collider causes mass on your suspensions, and if you use small collider, it will cause over force on your suspensions and start shaking. Okay, we have set our 3D model to work with RGKCar, so we can start adding our components. First of all, we need to add RGKCar setup component. Okay, when you start adding, you may have some errors because some components not created yet, so it's fine, just clear errors and continue. As a start, we need to add wheels. As you can see, RGKCar setup requires RGKCar wheel components on wheels. So I'm going to add this wheel components to wheel objects, not the models. Please be careful on this step. So going to pick wheel objects and add RGKCar wheel object to them. And now I have to set wheel models to wheel components. For this, move the wheel model to wheel model property of RGKCar wheel component. And for real wheels, please be careful in this property. Wheel location should be selected as real. Okay, now I can add our wheels to RGKCar setup component, and finally we can define wheelbase. As default, I set 0.5 to see how far our wheelbase its actual location. When you click the general tab, you will see some components are missing, so we can start creating with them by clicking create buttons. In example, I'm going to create rigid body. Going to add its default angular drag. This point is an object to determine wheel distance to finish, so it has to be located just front of your wheel. Its default position calculated by collider bonds, so it may not be actual location, so you have to tweak that. Reverse point also determining the environment objects when AI using reversing, so it's important to make its position rear of your vehicle. And center of mass for tweaking your vehicle mass, center of mass position, better handling and a better suspension force based this center of mass. So also you have to move this center of mass object of the center of mass property of the RGKCar. And camera target is another important object to used by game camera. And finally, camera locations if you are going to use multiple camera location for your car. Okay, we have created basic objects for our vehicle, so we can start adding components. First of all, we need a engine, so I'm going to add, clicking by add button. So we need audio components. I will add them later. Control bars for better handling. I'm going to add front wheels to control bars. Also some other components are required too, but I will talk about them later. And finally, I'm going to check enable real-time edit to see or change in vehicle. Okay, we are ready to first test, but before that we need to disable race manager. before the start, I want to add free drive components to see how vehicle acts when I press to throttle case for testing. I haven't changed any component properties to optimization, so it will be probably some weird results. So when I start, you will see this shaking here. Also suspensions are too high. For start, I'm going to change wheelbase location. Okay, or this is our optimum value. I'm going to copy that and pass it the wheelbase alignment property. Also, as default, wear and tear area is very low, so I'm going to change that to 5. And as default on this version, RPM friction is too high. This has to be some like 1.5 or 1.3. This is how fast our RPM will increase. Most of this properties explained in dev.unitracing.kit.com site, so you can check these properties and its values, optimum values for the RGKCar. Okay, going to start again to see how our vehicle acts. Okay. This is fine. As you can see, tires are under the surface because its radius are not right, so I'm going to increase them like 1.5. so yeah, this will be optimum value. I'm going to start and change them 9.5. I want to see this car in camera. For that, I have to add race camera. So align them, add camera target to target property, and disable the second camera. Okay, we are ready testing. Okay, in first test, as you can see, forces are too low for turning sides, so this will cause the losing the traction to turning, and this has to be optimized. Usually this caused by center of mass is too high, so we need to optimize the central mass. I'm going to lower the center of mass almost middle of the vehicle, so going to test again. Okay, as you can see, force on suspensions are better, and it's not losing the traction on turning side, and vehicle turns smoothly.